Hey guys, my name is Ryan.
And my name is Miskip.
And welcome to Overwatch Central. So the beta is at an interesting point right now. We have a lot of completely new players that have never played Overwatch up until now, mixed with those that have been in the beta for some time. The difference definitely shows, but it's not really to do with the use of ultimates and abilities, or just generally aim and skill. It's just those niggling mistakes that we have all made when we first started playing this game. Over the last 2 days, we have kept a keen eye on a lot of the new players and some of the mistakes that they have made, from our friends to people in public games, and we have presented you with 5 mistakes that are often made in Overwatch for new players.
And our first mistake on the list is not changing heroes, coming in on number 5. We talked about this a little bit in yesterday's video actually, but didn't really go into specifics. The general rule of thumb is of course to change hero if you feel like you're not contributing. But sometimes people stick with the same hero anyway. Most of the time this is because they don't feel like they're comfortable with another hero, have a charged up ultimate they want to use before they switch, or are trying to charge up an ultimate because it could make a difference. None of these are good reasons to stay on that hero, so communicate a change with your team or decide for a new hero on your own.
Our second tip is about chaining deaths and knowing when to group up to avoid doing so. We'd be lying if we said that this one just applies to new players. Even the veterans of closed beta are guilty of this mistake, including us. Chaining deaths is where your team ends up in an endless loop of running in one by one, dying, respawning, and then dying one by one again. Essentially, chaining deaths results in your team running in one by one in a sort of badly organised conga line. To break the pattern, you can use your emote command asking to group up. It shows your position clearer to your teammates as well as giving a good indication for your team, and it's the easiest way of reorganising. Working together and moving to an objective in a group, especially if you manage to make use of the flanks, gives you the advantage and results in a well coordinated attack from the team and hopefully a win.
The next mistake we see a lot of is people not prioritizing the healers. So what do we mean by this? Well, a team composition has to be able to rely on its supports. Simply put, they will make your life so much easier, and if you don't have one on your team, then you will more than likely lose the game. For this mistake, we have a little tip for you. This tip is about looking after your own supports whilst prioritizing getting the enemy team's supports killed. So starting with your own supports, you need to work together. You can't have a healer run after you around the whole map. Know where your Mercy is, and if she's too far away from you, then maybe wait with running back into the fight a little bit. It's unrealistic to expect a Mercy to get to you quickly when she's on the other side of the map. Now onto attacking enemy supports. The beautiful thing about attacking supports is how brittle they are. They're easy to take out on their own, but if they latch onto a teammate of theirs, you might struggle to 2v1 them. Support pickoffs is a flanker speciality, just please don't keep firing at the enemy player that's being healed. Not only can the healer just heal them up, but they will gain ultimate charge as well. Do your best to focus on taking out healers and supports, as well as looking after your own.
The next mistake that we see a lot of is players not knowing what their roles are and who they should be targeting. Everybody who's tried out Overwatch knows that hero countering is a big part of the game. But when you've loaded into it, pick your hero and have the enemy team lineup presented to you, you're likely to have a mix of heroes that you can counter along with those that counter you. This is when knowing your role, targets and foes comes in handy. Take a look at the enemy team and figure out who you should be avoiding as well as who you should be killing. If I'm playing Genji or a Tracer for example, I know that Mercy is an easy kill for me, but fighting a Symmetra is going to be a problem. It's easy to notice which heroes are giving you a hard time after you've been killed by them, but by doing this and working out who you should be avoiding will hopefully prevent the dying bit from happening. And just because you are a counter to an enemy player doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to do it. If you're unable to fill your job for whatever reason, maybe you're being focused down or outgunned, or simply put this hero is just outplaying you, then you need to change your hero. I really like playing Widowmaker, but if I'm being outplayed by an enemy Widowmaker or constantly being taken out by a Genji or Winston, I won't keep running in expecting the outcome to change, because simply put, it won't. I'll change heroes to something that counters them a little bit better, and hopefully the odds will switch into my favour. Running in expecting the scenario to change often won't, it'll get you more frustrated, and a frustrated player will often play a lot worse.
And number 1 on the list of common mistakes is people not playing objectively. So here are some tips to make sure you're always playing objectively. Firstly, always contest when you're either about to lose the point or win it. You want to literally throw yourself onto a capture point objective, either to finally take it or protect it. If you are a defensive Widowmaker on Hanamura and the enemy team are about to take the final point, with none of your teammates in sight, you need to jump on that objective to stop it. If a capture point is contested, the objective cannot be taken. The capture progression in the middle of the screen stops and will do so until you are removed or they are. You will probably die being reckless and literally throwing your body onto the point, but it buys your team some time as they are respawning or making their way back. If you don't contest at all, then the map is lost, so you really have nothing to lose here. Speaking of contesting, when you're attacking on a payload map, the payload actually heals you, so you don't need to leave the payload in search for a health pack every time. The payload can heal you back to full, so long as you're not taking too much damage, of course. Another important piece of advice is to make sure that the payload is moving at top speed with 3 people on it whenever possible. The payload moves faster with more people on it and caps at 3 people, meaning that it will move at the same speed with 4 or 5 heroes on it as well. If the enemy team have been wiped and you have plenty of time to move the payload, then make sure 3 people are always on it to make the most out of that free time. It can be tempting to chase after a remaining enemy hero, like dogs chasing after foxes, but the objective is more important, so make sure you're focusing on it. The 3-person capture and speed thing also applies to capturing objectives on capture point maps.
And that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you need some specific hero advice in regards to some tips and tricks, then do check out our hero guides in the description below, which are fairly short and go over the basics, but I'm sure you'll learn something new to make you a better player on certain heroes. Again, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more Overwatch content, and until next time, take care, and we'll see you in the open beta.